Hey guys, welcome back. Miss Glass here. We are continuing our discussion of compound sentences. This is compound sentences part 2. So if you need a refresher on compound sentences, you can go back to some of the videos from part 1. But we're moving along now with compound sentences part 2. And this is actually editing compound sentences 2, which is using our knowledge of simple and compound sentences to be better writers. So we're going to go back to those steps that we talked about for editing sentences. The first one is to identify the subjects and verbs in the writing. Then use your formulas to identify your independent clauses. You'll always want to be on the lookout for things like infinitives and prepositional phrases, and make sure you don't get those confused with the subject and the verb. The next rule is to add punctuation and capitalization as needed based on the formulas. And we have 3 formulas here. I, comma, I semicolon I, and I semicolon CA, comma I. And CA stands for conjunctive adverb. Remember, in this particular lesson, we are working on compound sentences. So you need to make sure that your edited sentences have at least one compound sentence. All right, let's take a look at some examples, and I have some new computer tools that I got since last time, so we're going to try those out. Bear with me. Let's pick a fun color, like a nice blue, and let's look at our sentence here. I don't care what my family thinks of me. I will go to college, and in the future, I will have my dream job. There's a lot of information all shoved into one sentence there, and it doesn't come out the way students think it does. So we're going to edit this sentence by starting with our subjects and our verbs. So the first thing we want to do is find the verbs in our sentence. I'll give you a minute to look before we go over the answers. Okay, so the first verb we have is don't care. And who doesn't care? I don't care. What my family thinks of me. Thinks is a verb. In this particular case, who thinks? That would be my family. I will go to college. Be careful here, go to. It looks like an infinitive, but remember with infinitives, to always goes in the front. So if it said to go, that would be an infinitive. But here we have to college. So that's actually a prepositional phrase. Let's label that as a prepositional phrase. Our verb here is will go. And who will go? I will go. Okay, and in the future, I will have my dream job. Again, we've got another prepositional phrase here. We don't want to forget about those. And I will have my dream job. The verb is will have. And the subject is I. Okay, so if we're splitting this up into independent clauses, right, so that we can make separate sentences or combine sentences, we see that we have a subject and verb here. I don't care what my family thinks of me. This is actually a type of sentence we haven't learned yet. This is a mistake on my part, but we're going to go with it. Here you can see what my family thinks of me is part of this first clause. So we're going to keep this whole bit together. I'm going to change the color on that. Go for like a bright orange. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to keep this whole bit together because this is one big clause. I don't care what my family thinks of me. I will go to college. That's another clause, right? Here we have our fanboys word. That's sort of separate from the clause. And then we have another clause here. Okay? So that's really 3 clauses. I know it's a little confusing because, like I said, we haven't gone over this SV, but you can hear how it sounds. I don't care what my family thinks of me. That kind of all goes together. And now we're going to look at how we would produce this sentence, how we would edit it. so that it has proper punctuation and capitalization, and we're going to follow our formulas. So I don't care what my family thinks of me. We know that that kind of goes by itself. It's got a subject and a verb. It's sort of a complete statement. We're not missing any information. So we have an independent clause and then another independent clause. So the best way to connect two independent clauses is with a comma and a conjunction or a semicolon. I'm going to choose to use a semicolon here. And I is already capitalized because it's a pronoun, so I don't have to make more changes. But I will go to college. But then that is its own sentence as well. We don't want to have another fanboys word there. So I'm going to put a period and I'm going to capitalize this. In the future, that's a prepositional phrase at the beginning of the sentence. So I'm going to add in that comma. I will have my dream job. And now this sentence, these two sentences that we've created here are grammatically correct the way that they should be when we're writing for school. Okay, but there's more than one way to do this correctly, and I really want to emphasize that to you guys. There really is more than one way to do this. So I'm going to show you guys another example of what this could look like. So I don't care what my family thinks of me. We could have put a period there and then kept I will go to college, comma, and in the future, I will have my dream job. So here we have a sentence. I'm not going to say simple sentence because this is actually called a complex sentence. We'll be going over that soon. But here we have an independent clause and then I, comma, CI. Remember, this prepositional phrase doesn't really go as part of, it doesn't make it a different type of sentence. Hopefully that made sense. Okay? So you can see we have different ways of writing these sentences that are still correct. Let's go ahead and do another example together. Okay. People always say that babies are cute, but I think they are ugly. They look like little aliens and cry all the time. Again, this is another sentence where a lot of information has just been shoved all together and there should be punctuation in between. So let's try to identify where our punctuation would go. Okay. People always say that babies are cute. Oh, I did it again. We have another dependent clause. That's okay. Our first verb is going to be say, right? Who says? People. So people say that babies are cute. Remember, are is a verb. Who are or what are? In this sentence, babies are cute. But that's a fanboys word, right? We know that word is a fanboys word. Oops. What's happening? Sorry, guys. Let me get back to our sentence. Here we go. But I got a little messy. Let's try that again. Okay, but I think that's a subject and a verb. They are ugly. That's another subject and a verb. Unclick. Oh, this is getting kind of messy here. These are the kind of videos you guys usually don't like. Sorry about that. So I think they are ugly. They look like little aliens. Here the verb is look. Who looks? They look like little aliens and cry all the time. So this is another verb, cry, but who cries? They cry. So this and here is V and V. So remember, that's a simple sentence. So if I'm trying to figure out how many different independent clauses we have here, right? I'm going to put some boxes around them. So people always say, and you can see how that doesn't really sound finished by itself. People always say what? That babies are cute, right? So that's our first independent clause. But isn't part of it. That's the conjunction. I think they are ugly. That really seems to go together. And here we have SVV, which we know is an independent clause by itself. So again, we have 3 independent clauses here. So how are we going to separate these into multiple sentences? And again, there's more than one way to do this correctly, but since we're really focused on compound sentences this time, we want to make sure we're going to create a compound sentence. So people always say that babies are cute, but if we're going to keep this but here, we know there has to be a comma. We have to insert that comma before our coordinating conjunction. I think they are ugly. That's where the second independent clause ends. So we're going to put a period there. And then if we capitalize, they look like little aliens and cry all the time. We also need to make sure we put a period at the end of our sentence. And then we have we have 1 compound sentence and 1 simple sentence. Okay, again, there's more than one correct way to do this, but the best way is to make sure that you're following the formulas. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go on to MyMCPS Classroom, and the directions again tell you to copy and paste the sentences into your reply box and correct the sentence errors in each sentence by adding punctuation and capitalization. Again, be sure that you create at least 1 compound sentence. It can't be all simple sentences. When you're done, I'd like you to check out your classmates' revisions, either tell them they did a good job or help identify some mistakes that they may have made. So you're going to comment on 2 of your classmates' revisions. But you're just going to go ahead and, like we've done before, copy and paste. Remember, Control-C for copy and then Control-V for paste. And you're going to paste it right inside here. And you'll be able to make changes to the sentences so that they're correct and they follow the formulas. And the formulas are up here as a reminder for you as well. Okay, so you guys are going to go on to MyMCPS to complete editing sentences, and I will see you back here next time.